Hey gardening friends, it's Amy here today. Hope you're doing well. Today is a beautiful day, a gorgeous day, overcast, no sun. Weather is cool. It's a perfect day for me to get some of my gardening fall tasks completed today. Some of the projects I have is to propagate or take some cuttings from my garden, transplant some plants, trim back some plants because they are either out of blooms or I should be trimming them back to get them ready for the winter months. Okay, so I'll take you along today with me. So today we are working on this patch right here. So these salvias have done amazingly well all season long, flowered really nicely. So I would love to be able to take cuttings from them and try to propagate them so that I would have some next year. I don't mind buying them next year, but the only problem is I lost a tag for them and I have no idea what variety this is. And I just loved its growth habit this year and how it has performed. So I really would love to get some cuttings so that I'll still have some next year. And of course, the other reason I'm working on this project today is it is end of season. These are annuals in my area, I believe, so they will die off anyway. So I might as well pull them out and try to save some if I can. Secondly, it's been bothering me that it covers my rose here. Delish, she has been not doing well all season long. So I want to take these guys out so that she has some breathing room, some air circulation and whatnot, and hopefully she'll rebound for me. And also on top of that too, a third reason is, so once I remove these, this spot is going to be quite empty. I have these Alliums, Millennium Alliums here, so they grow pretty tall, but they're late bloomers. But during the early months, this spot is really empty, right? And I don't want to put anything too crowded there. Same reason, I don't want to cover my roses. So I'm planning to put low ground cover type of plants. And it occurred to me there's something that is super suitable for this. So if we go over here, I mentioned in my previous video that I have these lamb's ear that have done extremely well, and look at them, they spread so fast. This clump is getting a little bit too big for this spot, to be honest with you. So what I plan to do is divide it in half. Keep this one here because this section is overcrowding this area. So I'm gonna divide it in half. What I'm gonna try how to divide it is divide in the ground. So a lot of times I would dig it out of the ground and then divide. This time I'm gonna try to see if I can divide it right here and leaving it in the ground. So this chunk here will be going over here. So I want to put it right here because I don't want anything tall to cover this rose, climbing rose. So something short here. And then because I have some yarrows here and some nepeta here, I'm going to put another clump right here. So it will fill up over time around the bottom of the base here, and it will not interfere with my roses. So that's the game plan. And the other one I'm putting in is, I think I mentioned, actually I don't remember if I mentioned this one. So this is hyssop. I actually grew this from cuttings. So I took cuttings of a mother plant and I took the tips, quite a few, I forget how many, probably 5 of them. Most of them took, believe it or not, and they have now grown into individual plants of their own. And then I want to put this one into this spot right here. So it's away from my rose, but at least it will provide me with some color next year. And this should grow really big next year because the mother plant is fairly big and it has such lovely coloring. It's this peachy color, and I think peach might look really nice here because Delish is a really deep magenta pink color. So I think the two color will complement each other very nicely. So this one will go here. Lamb's ear, one clump will go here and another one will go here. And then these salvias, it breaks my heart to take them out, but they are coming out today so that I can take some cuttings to do propagation. Also, another item on my list is, so I have this hukra. I think it's called Melting Fire or something like that. Where's the tag? I don't know where oh, actually, you know what? I think the tag is right on here. This one is a Costco one. Melting Fire, yes. Gorgeous coloring. I still don't know exactly 100% what I want to do here. I have planned for to grow these dahlias, to grow it here, but I'm still not 100%. So what I'm going to do is, because this guy is still in a pot, I don't want to take the chance of it not coming back and overwintering for me. So I'm going to dig a hole right here, big enough so I can plop this whole entire pot into it with the plastic pot, so that it will be what is it? It will overwinter and survive the winter for me. Fingers crossed. I hope that's what it will do. So this one is another task I need to do today. Oh yes, all the cone flowers. I will be trimming those back today. Trimming this hyssop back, removing it from this spot. Same with this one, taking it out. What else am I doing? Another task. Oh yes, all the baptisia that I mentioned that I will be cutting back. So yes, fall chores continues today. Lots of stuff to do, but what a gorgeous day to do it. Actually, you know what, on second thought, what I should do is just dig a hole, put the plant in, give it some time to establish good root system. If next year I change my mind and I want to put the dahlias in here, I can always dig her up, but at that time her root system is more established, rather than taking the chance of just putting the plastic pot in there this year. That would make more sense. Melting fire is in. I think this is probably the safest way to go to ensure that she will winter well and come back next year for me. The other way might be a bit risky. I've actually never dunked a whole pot of plant into the ground to overwinter before, so I kind of didn't want to take a chance with this one because her coloring is gorgeous. I don't want to lose her. Gotta say, this is probably my favorite tool to use in the garden, especially for digging things up, because it's so narrow and it's so deep. I can get really far down to get the root system. Really love this tool. Two plants. It's actually a really good thing that I planted them side by side. There's three of them. They have helped to hold each other up, so they haven't really flopped too much. They did start it to lean a little bit to the front, so I had to tie them back to keep them away from my pathway here. But other than that, yeah, planting them three together was actually a really good idea. Okay, I removed two of the salvias here, and look at my delish. There she is. Very thin, hardly any growth. Poor thing. Been covered all summer. Okay. Yes, so hopefully now that the salvias are removed, she has more breathing room, more room to grow. She has one tiny, oh my god, puny little bloom left. Poor thing. Super fragrant. Very, very, I love this, her scent. Very nice. Okay, so let's get the other stuff in. So now that I removed the salvia, I'll leave this one. It's not in anybody's way. So I don't accidentally damage or injure them. You know what? Wow. It's quite intertwined, which makes dividing a bit tricky. thing about this one, it has a edge here that helps to cut the root system. That's why I really like this one. I don't remember where I got it from, but I like it a lot. Very healthy root system. Look at that, nice chunk. And you know what? I'm going to divide this in two, so I get 2 clump of it to put on the other side. Perfect. More plants without having to spend more money. Okay, I got myself a super big clump out of the original one. They grow so fast. I really love this. Is my first year growing them, and I'm really loving the foliage color and how it complements or how it meshes with the rest of the other plants. The only thing I found about lamb's ear that is kind of unsightly is this kind of happens to it quite often. I don't know if it's too much water or does this just naturally what it does. I'm still learning how to grow it, so all you do is just clean it up, and the top foliage is still nice. Lay this one flat since that side is already flat, and then I'm going to find a spot where I can nicely divide it so I can have 2 clumps for the 2 spots I have in mind there. Got myself a saw. I think this would work better in this situation. Oh my god, this one that I'm gonna hack right in half. Oh well. There you have it. One healthy clump and a second one. Now I have 2 plants. And seriously, when I first bought it, the clump was even smaller than this clump that I got. Yeah, the original pot that I bought. And now I have multiple clumps all over the garden now. So these guys grow really fast. All right, let's put these guys in the ground. Just do a bit of cleaning up before I put them in. Okay, here they are. The first clump of lamb's ear. Here's the second one, and here's the hyssop. And so that clears out that spot nicely. I know that I'm putting another plant here, but this plant, it has a really good growth habit. It goes straight up. It doesn't spread around really messy. So I don't think it's going to interfere with the bottom or the crown of my delish and also my other 2 roses here. That's the reason why I'm not planning to plant anything ginormous like these salvias. And then that's the other reason why I put the lamb's ear here, because they stay fairly low. And even though they spread, it's easy to, as you can see, dig them up, divide them. So I can manage this area and keep it nice and clear. And also too, because it's close to the border, I don't want anything ginormous or tall border. All right, let's backfill these guys in, and we're done with task number 1. So there you have it, all done. Hopefully they'll be happy there. And I'm sure these lamb's ear will spread in no time. So keeping this area clear, which will make my roses happy. Okay, as mentioned in my previous video, I will be taking off all the blooms of my cone flowers so that the plant can concentrate on root growth at this time of year. So just going in there to remove these. And also too, you know what, they're starting to get, I don't know if you can see it or the camera can pick it up, mildew anyway, so they're not looking, it's in its best condition anyhow. So removing it is not a bad idea. There you go, easy peasy. Guess what I found blooming? The new one I just added, Wild Blue Yonder, I believe this is what's called. Yeah, look at her coloring. Pretty, right? I should cut her back now, all the blooms, so that they can concentrate on the root system. I just wanted to see the color, leaving one bloom to open so that I can see what color it is to make sure I got the right color, because I found two times in my past where I bought a rose, the tag says one species or color, and then when it bloomed, it was not that color. So from now on, I always make sure to look at the bloom to make sure it's actually the right color. I didn't bring the other one back because they happened to be a color I was okay with anyway, so I kept them. What a waste to take all these off. This is what came off of these two. This color is really nice. I bought these ones at Costco and it was a variety pack kind of thing, and it came with yellow, with pink and kind of orange in one pot. So I divided the plants individually and plot them in different spots. Look at this. These are just one stem with this many flowers. The other one, a whole cluster, one stem. So in my previous video, I showed you the patch of zinnias all the way in the back there. They're kind of dead, and what concerns me, I would like to just leave it, to be honest, but what concerns me is it's starting to get a lot of powdery mildew, and I don't want it to spread to my roses. So what I'm going to do is go in there and chop them all down to keep it nice and clean, disease-free. You know what, since I'm at it, I should go in there and remove my Buddha statue. It's been there for a while. All my plants here, all my roses have grown so tall, so big, you no longer can see the statue back there. So I'm gonna go and hopefully remove the statue without breaking anything. Oh, it's so heavy. Wow, there you go. My poor statue was stuck back there for so long. Rescued it. Now I have to find a nice spot for it. Wow, this area is looking so much better. Cut back all of the zinnias that used to be here. So this whole area is nice and clear now. And it's looking less cluttery. And of course, all the powdery mildew stems from the zinnias are removed so that they do not infect my roses. Talk about pollinators and bees. Yep, this one is generally covered all day long with pollinators. They absolutely love these single dahlias. And this one I grew from seed, super easy to grow. So highly recommend it if you love to see pollinators in your garden. Done, check, check, check. Loving this feeling of getting so much done today. One of the other tasks that I really wanted to get done was trimming back my baptisia. I have a total of 5 in my garden, and I've read that if you trim them back, it may encourage new growth from the bottom so that your plant is bushier for the coming year. I've never really grown this. It's my first year having them in my garden, so this one does not, it's not very full. It's very sparse. So you know what? Let's try it. So I'm gonna cut it back. Hopefully I will get a bushier plant next year. A bushier clump actually next year. So there we go, that was easy. Oh, this is the pin cushion that I mentioned before. Still pushing up some pretty flowers, but it's not productive anymore. It's winding down, I guess. Yeah, that's it. So hopefully that will do the trick. Encourage it to branch out a little bit more. So let's move over the other side. That's where the other one is. This is the second one I have. This one is actually a lot more bushy than the one I just finished, but it is a spring flowering plant. So I'll leave some leaves for it to still photosynthesize and make energy. Cutting it way back here. There we go. I'll trim back. That's 2. We have 3 more to go. Here is my third one. It's located right beside my hydrangeas. So I'm going to trim it back. That's it. My other Bractesia is all the way in here. So I have to climb all the way from the back to get to it. There you go. Done. That's another one. Oh, yikes. I just realized something. I have 6 of them. I don't have 5. I have 6 because I still have one more back here that I totally forgot about. Oh my gosh. That's what happens when you have too many plants. You can't keep track of them. All right. Got to climb back there now to get to that one. Okay. Got in here. So my 6th one is right here. Wow, this one has grown quite a bit. The funny thing is this one, I had growing in a pot for the longest time and it put on very little growth. But surprisingly, after I put it into the ground, it's done crazy good. Better than the other ones that have been in the ground from the beginning of the season. Wow, I'm impressed with this one. Okay. There you have it. 6 I have a total of, not 5 that I thought. So embarrassing. You know what, while I'm here, this guy is dead. Chop that one off. This one too. Yeah, might as well get these guys off. They're done. What else can I do back here? It's not the easiest spot to get into. Okay. I'm good. All right, let's get out of here. Whoa, it's like a jungle back here. This is looking great. I'm loving this look so far. But you know what? Who knows? With gardening, what I learned is that sometimes you'll plop stuff somewhere and it may do well and you might love it and you may not, but it's okay. It's okay if you put something in and you change your mind and then you remove it and put it somewhere else. That's the fun part about gardening. Nothing is like, you know, set in stone. Nothing is stuck. You can always redesign and yeah, design it to your liking. I constantly do that with my garden. That's one of the reasons why I started the potted gardening idea, is that I get to shift stuff around all the time. Can you imagine if this middle part here was all like flower beds, there's no way I would can remove it or exchange or move stuff around. But I change stuff around constantly throughout the season. Stuff flower out, stuff are gone, new stuff you know, grows, new stuff are in bloom. I get to switch it around. That's one of the reasons why I absolutely love potted gardening. I think I will never stop doing it. It's something that have caught on with me, and I just absolutely love it. Okay, so I'm gonna take some cuttings, just general cutting. I'm not rooting it right now because I just don't want them to die off on me. So you know what? I'm gonna take a few of these though. I'm gonna take these, pop it into some water so they stay hydrated for the time being until I can get to actually doing the propagation itself. Okay, I finished cutting the stems off from the mother plant here. Got most of it. I highly doubt I will be propagating all of this. That's a lot of... Here's another example of my randomness when I try to propagate stuff. So this is a pot of hosta that I have, and because there's some empty spot here, I just stuck in some rose cuttings to see what it does. And so far they seem to be okay. They're staying green and they're alive, so maybe they might take. And same here, this is a pot of my hydrangeas that I have, and at the bottom there's some spare soil space. What did I do? I stuck some cuttings in there just to watch them and see what they do. Like I said, I am quite fascinated with this process. I love trying new stuff out. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And that's what learning is all about, right? Here is an example of my experiment. So these are rose cuttings that I have taken a few weeks ago. I just stuck them into soil. Some have rotted, so I've taken them out, but these guys seems to still be doing fairly decent. So I think when the weather gets cold, colder, I guess, I might try to hibernate them and store them in my garage to see if they will winter okay in there. And then next to it, I don't know what I'm doing with this, to be honest with you. So I grew some, I think I mentioned, I grew some, lilies, right? And I've noticed when the blooms were gone and along the stem, there comes these tiny little bulbs like nubs that started to grow on it. And then I started to do some research and found out that these are actually little bulbs that they're growing on there. You can take it out and germinate them or grow them further. And that's what I kind of did. I placed some soil in this tray and I stuck those little tiny bulbs in there, and they're starting to leaf out. You know what? I read though, I think it takes 2 to 3 years at minimum for them to even grow and flower, but I thought it would be a fun experiment to try. Like I said, the whole propagating, growing thing, the process of it really fascinates me, and I just kind of do random things here and there just to see what it will do or what will happen next. Oh, lucky me, I found a lily plant that still has these bulb things that I mentioned. Here they are. I don't know if you can actually see them clearly, but here they are. Tiny little bulb-like thing that is growing, and some of them had it growing all along the stems here, at the stem. And what I did was, as you can see, some of them even root on the stem itself. So I just picked that off and stuck them into soil. So that's what is growing here, is these little tiny things here that have formed on the stems after the flower has bloomed. So it's going to be very fascinating to see what happens or what becomes of this tray. Here an example of what I mean by my fascination with propagating. So these are lantana cuttings that I've taken weeks and weeks ago. Instead of tossing them out, what I did was I literally just stuck them into this patch right here. And I think they took. Look at them. They're growing really nicely. A whole bunch here. And the funny part is I tried to put them in a separate pot with soil and they actually did not do well. But sticking them directly into the ground here seems to work for them. And I also did that with, oh, here's another one here too. So I have a whole bunch of them in here. And I also tried it with roses. And look, it's doing really well. It hasn't died off. It hasn't brown off. The leaves, yes, some of them grow yellow. But look, for the most part, they seem to be doing okay. I did the same with these coleus here just to see if they would grow if I just stick them directly into the ground. So yeah, that's another one of my experiments that seems to be going really well. Okay, I've gathered a little bit more equipment or material to proceed with my propagation project here. As you can see, I have a whole bunch of these pots that I have cleaned out. These are just regular pots that we usually get when we buy plants at the nursery, at the garden center. I saved them. Why not, right? Good quality. Just give them a good rinse and then we're able to reuse them. These glass ones right here are like Dollarama glass or vase, you would say. Very inexpensive. I'm going to put some of my begonias in there. So originally I was about to bring in the begonias, but they are massive now. And truthfully, they drop flowers like there's no tomorrow. And besides, trying to get rid of the bugs that might be on there, it's like, it scares me a little bit. So I go, you know what, instead of doing that, I'm gonna take some cuttings and then I'm gonna try to propagate them. So 2 I will have in water just to see if they would do well, and then 2 I will have in soil to see if they will propagate. So if I lose one, I still have a shot at the other one. If none works, that's okay. Next year I will buy brand new plants, no problem. But at least it's worth a shot to try. And the other one, I'm really curious if I can propagate are these. I don't know. They don't look like they will, to be honest. Just the stem structure of it, there's not much to go on. But anyways, it's worth a shot to try. Like I said, I'm very fascinated with the whole process itself, how things grow, why they root, why they don't root. So for me, it's a science experiment. And also the other thing I want to point out, cutting the leaves. I find these are amazing when you're cutting bigger stems, but when you're cutting leaves to do you know, propagation stuff, I find these are really, really good. They're narrow, they're easy to use. So I'll set up my station here and then I'll show you what I do. These are the 2 different begonias that I grew this year. I only have one of each. Don't know if you can see the difference, but this one right here has green leaves with slightly pinkish flowers on them. And this one has a little darker leaves with more, the blooms are a bit more on the redder side, or I don't know, honestly, kind of looks the same when you put it together like this, or maybe because the leaves are darker color, so the blooms appear to be darker. But anyhow, they're slightly different and they look different in a really big pot. So I have 2 varieties here that I would like to try to grow or propagate. And just to mention too, during my research, apparently you can just propagate by doing leaves, put them into soil. They should grow too. But you know what? I don't think I'm going to do the leaf method. I'm just going to do the stem method. So I'm going to cut these off and then cut the blooms off. Let's just cut this whole stalk off too. So this is what I'm left with. I need to leave this one. This one I'm going to water. The 2 I can water. There you have it. I don't know if I should leave it this long or not, to be honest. A lot of times when I see people try to propagate, they only leave about that much. But I think that's for soil. I feel like if I'm doing it in water, I can get away with leaving a longer stem. I got 2 dark and 2 lighter ones, so they will sit in water. So let's see if they will sprout or not. Of course, I'm going to try to label them later. Reminder, I'm pretty bad at that. And then these ones, I'm going to prep them. These ones will go into soil. Take some of these off. I think because this one's going to soil, maybe I should cut it a bit shorter. I want one more leaf. Just below a node here. It's always suggested that you go just below the node because that's where the active growth hormone or growth matter is, I guess. So because this one is going in soil, I'm going to cut it shorter. For the soil. So I'm going to use a smaller pot for this one. 2 of the same color in one pot, and then 2 of the other one in one pot. I will show you what that looks like. Okay, so off camera I filled my pots with soil. I don't have any fertilizer soil available, so I just used the regular potting mix from Miracle-Gro. I think it might have a bit of fertilizer in it, I don't know. So you know what, that's what I have on hand, that's what I'm using. Okay, so I dip a little bit of growth hormone in here, take a stick, and then I'm going to, just so that it doesn't rub off too much of the powder, insert it into there. Here we go. The next one I'm going to put right here on the other side. You know what, since I'm at it, and I have heard that you can propagate from leaves, why not try it? So to dip a little bit on the ends there, and you know what, I'm just going to stick it in here. Who knows, it might work, it might not. Worth a shot. At least I'll know for knowledge purposes, if anything, right? Here we go, a little bit of hormone. Stick this one in there. And there you have it. After, when I'm done potting up everything, I'm going to give it a good drink of water. So one done. Nice and fast. Okay, second one done. Put that aside. We'll water everything once I am done everything together. So I took the cuttings of these last time. They've been in water since. So I'm going to try some in water and then some in soil and see what happens. So this one, because I'm putting in soil, I'm just going to have to cut off the tip here and maybe shorten it a little bit more, just below a node here. I usually do diagonal. I find that might be better. Take off more leaves. I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. Maybe over here. Yep, okay. Take a little bit of that into soil. No, I can actually use this. So I'm just gonna put 2 in each pot. Yeah. Press it down a little bit. So that's 2 in one pot. 2 with the yellow. Between these 2 color coleus, the more bright, lighter one, the yellow one, wasabi, and this one is campfire. This one can withstand heat, sun a little bit better than this one. This one gets burnt quite easily. Okay, so here you have it. The next one, so I'm just gonna do these 2 in soil. The rest I'm gonna have in water. Okay, so let's do these ones next. These ones, I really don't have any hope for them working, to be honest with you. but I want to try anyways. Oh, look at that. There are barely any leaves left. And I don't even know, like, should I cut this off, but I only have the top left. That doesn't seem like a lot to go by. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, you know what? Let's just do it anyways and see what happens. So strip the leaves off. Six. I should move this one over slightly. Okay, so I got 6 in here. Don't really have a whole lot of hope for this one, but we shall see. And then you know what? The rest, I probably would just leave in water and see what happens. So then I'm just gonna sniff off the top here, all the blooms. For some reason, I have more confidence, more hope for it to germinate in water than I do in soil. Okay, there we go. The rest will be grown in water. I will label all this when I'm done. Oh, whoops. You know what I forgot to do? Yeah, this is important. Almost forgot. Sniff off the bottom so they don't rot in there. Different length. Why? It's an experiment because I don't know how they behave. I don't know how they're gonna root. So I'm just gonna do different length, observe it and see what happens. It's a learning experience for me. Okay, there you have it. These will be in water. Actually, remember how I said I want to try one with a different medium? This one is for microwave. I'm gonna try one in there. And I'm gonna try one of these guys in there. Okay. Take off the tip. There's a bit of a flower bud, I guess, up here. Take that off. Take more of the stem so it's closer to the leaf node there. Going to see if this will work or not. That will be a fun experiment to watch. Okay, so let's do the water one. They're already starting to wilt. Look at that. This one is not. This one's looking really sad. Do the soil one for the salvia. The stems will be a lot shorter. Very different from that of water. And then of course the leaves, because I'm doing in soil, they tend to wilt a lot more than they do in water, so I clip off more of the leaves as much as possible, and that's the size that I'm going to try. Put that into some hormones, put it at the edge of the pot. Oh my gosh, this is super exciting. So they're all in soil now. Just got a good drink of water. I really hope this works. If this works, I'm gonna explore other plants next year. I'm just gonna place them here. This spot should be shelter and not get any afternoon sun, because yes, I don't think they can take any sun whatsoever. Maybe I should move it over here as a safer spot. But anyhow, it's gonna go in a shelter spot at least for the next few days, and once it goes inside my house, it will also be in a very shelter spot, obviously not in direct sunlight. Hanging out with my Buddha. And these are the cuttings I'm planning to propagate using water. So I just have to make sure I clean out the water regularly. I don't know, depending on when it becomes dirty again, right? So I have to keep my eye on that. I'm actually, to be honest with you, really bad with changing out water. You know, it's a lot of trouble. And then I forget when I get busy. So I'll try my best and then see how they go. So I've been experimenting with propagating certain plants in my garden that I love, that I want to keep, or I want more of. This is an example of cuttings of hydrangeas that I took. Oh my gosh. See, this is when I was really bad. I didn't even label it. I'm guessing about 3 weeks-ish, 4 weeks maybe. So as you can see, they're starting to root. Isn't that crazy? I find they form these little white lumps all over the stems, and then the roots will come out. So this one's doing really well. Well, that is a wrap for me for today. The morning started off, or the earlier part of the day started off cloudy, overcast, no sun whatsoever, on a cooler side. But you know what? Halfway through the day, sun came out. The weather's still lovely though. I'm not complaining. This is like perfect weather. You do get half the sun, but it is cool enough for you to do stuff outdoors without like just sweating. That's one part of gardening that I do not like, is the crazy hot weather we have to deal with outdoors in the sun. Yeah. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much again for coming along and joining me today while I complete some of my fall tasks that I have on my list. You know what? Gardening is a never-ending work process, and there's always something to do, right? I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, consider subscribing. Until next time, happy gardening. See you in my next video. Bye.